is an implement for the B2150, and we'll work on an L series if we ever get one of those in the future. So it is a Land Pride 1560 land plane or grader. So kind of been looking at one of these for a while, and finally decided to pull the trigger and get one. The main precipitant of kind of getting this is with all the stone that's now at the 100 acres and that full drive that we have going back around. Now that we have that, it'd be nice to maintain it. So something like this does an excellent job of kind of that maintenance. A yard box you can use, but there's a lot of putting it down, feathering it, kind of pushing or dragging some, maybe back dragging other parts, and can be a little bit more difficult. And for the amount that we have to do, you know, if it's just like a little bit of a drive, you can kind of do that and work it back and forth. It's not as bad. Whereas this, you should be able to start at one side, put it down, drag all the way out and around, turn around and do it back the other direction. So with it being 5 foot wide, it covers the tracks of the tractor. So that's one thing we always like to look for in most of our implements, is for that to happen. The other thing is about most driveways are right around 10 feet wide. So if you want to do any crowning in the middle, you then have your 5 foot on each side. So essentially how this benefits from kind of a standard grader box is you'll notice the 2 sets of angled headers, and essentially what this will do, and they're only, I don't know, maybe 4 inches tall, 5 inches tall, and basically what this does is it will drag all of your gravel or dirt kind of across, so it does the leveling action. And with 2 of those you kind of get, you know, that double effect. But then any excess material or extra material that you have kind of spills over, and will go from here, spill over to here, fill any spots, and then just spills over the back. Whereas a standard grader box is, or a box blade is, you know, maybe a foot or so tall, so you end up with all that material in there, and then you're dragging that around. So this is really meant for that grading aspect. Works best on gravel, but you do have these rippers that you can set at different heights on the front. So there are 4 of these across this 5 foot one. So you can set those down and it will break up any dirt, or if you have compacted rock that you want to grade out, you can have it break that up and then go back into the grader part and grade that off. So again, for this like 20 horsepower B2150, has no issues picking this up. Haven't used this extensively yet, just kind of did a couple test runs with it. Just kind of quick initial impressions. This weighs about 600 pounds as it sits. The bottom has pretty nice shoes on it. So instead of just having metal from the kind of construction here, you actually have a bolt-on shoe. So this kind of helps if you need to replace that. It's a replaceable thing. The sides for these blades on each side are adjustable. So basically you can raise the height of this. So if you determine that you want one side higher than the other, you can kind of do that. But then you can also adjust the height. So if you don't want it on the ground all the way and want it up a little bit, you can adjust that. Looks like from Land Pride it comes about in the center. Overall construction seems fine. It is quick hitch compatible. We don't utilize one of those currently, but it has the kind of the new standard where it just pins right through. So it works with the pins and everything that we already have. So I was able to pick this up locally here. Contacted them about a quote, and they got back to me pretty quick. So this came from a place not too far away, Lawrence County Equipment. So contacted them again about getting a quote, and they got back to me right away. Had a couple different options. Like this one the best, worked best with the tractor we have, and then also kind of maybe some future tractor plans down the road, either when this one breaks or we want to replace it. The L series is kind of the next one we're looking at. It will be on a similar sized frame, but we get one with a little bit more horsepower. Anyway, it will work well behind that as well. So this is one of the new things we've added. Again, primarily going to be for the 100 acres and keeping that road nice and free of ruts. So once the power crew is completely done there and they're done driving back and they're no longer responsible for maintaining that, we have something that can maintain that. So that's what we're looking at here. The other thing that thought for this is for our trail system. So a lot of it, you can put the box blade down and just drag all the material out, and it works fairly well. It'll be interesting with this to see if we can get some of our trails straightened up and fix any low spots, and maybe even get some tilt going in certain spots that would be beneficial. So I think this would be handy. Not 100% sure, like on the loose dirt kind of going over the back of these and leaving loose dirt on there. Something we'll just have to try and see how that works out. So another thing we're looking at using at the homestead, we have kind of two trails that lead out back. So under the high voltage power lines, it's where I store firewood totes, and then we have a green hole back there as well. So just for reference, I'm just downhill from the saw shack there. So you can see we have one, it's fairly steep, ends up holding water quite a bit and then kind of loops around. And then this one is the other one that we're working on, kind of getting established. So one of the first poplar trees we ran through was right here. I didn't end up recording taking this stump out and some of the work we'd done here. It's one of those things we kind of got going on it and didn't anticipate doing as much as we did, but just kind of got going and didn't get a chance to really record it. But there's a stump here, a little cherry tree, so we kind of got that stuff cleaned up to widen this corner out. So kind of looking out this direction where we have some of the cherry and stuff stored, kind of opens this all up. And we have this path that goes back. Some dead stuff down on the sides, but have a pretty good dirt path here. And the other thing that's kind of incorporated with this that we did last night was put this pipe in. So this pipe here kind of goes in a ditch, so there's not really a ditch up that direction, but water has obviously been flowing over here and going out. So we wanted to make sure that water had someplace to go. So we went ahead and put just a scrap of poly pipe in there that we had. And so now, and we built all this up. So before you had a big dip there, and I don't know, just kind of unsettled the tractor. The little tractor and the otter wasn't too bad, but you get the big tractor on there and that tilt, wasn't super happy about it. So got this all filled in, have it leveled off now. And then coming back here, we did just a little bit of dirt work here just so that this wasn't cant, it was flat. And then get back out into the sun here and have the firewood totes and everything there. So now I just showed you that land plane. What I'm going to do is put the front tines down just a little bit, just so they're kind of getting into the dirt. to loosen it up a little bit. And then hopefully just drive back and forth on this a couple times to fill in any spots. Dad kind of did it with the grater box, but again, he was kind of dragging dirt from one end to the other, whereas this should do a better job of leveling everything out. We took a small tree out here, so that's kind of why there's a little bit of a divot. So I'll probably start there, bring dirt down this direction, and kind of just go out. And then any extra dirt I have will kind of go in this low spot here, if that ends up happening. But again, with this land plane, that shouldn't really be the case. But there's several routes here. Be interesting to see how it does with that, and see how it does with skipping over stuff. But I want to get this cleaned up. It's been pretty hot and dry out, so I'll give a chance to go through this. What you need to pay attention to is on a land plane, making sure that your shoes are flat. So the front versus the back of the shoe being flat, so that you're grading flat. So you may have to adjust the top length. So like I need to bring the front down just a touch. This is where the hydraulic tilt kit would be really helpful for something like this, because as you go up and over hills, that's going to change. You just have to kind of set it flat, and then kind of work with it from there to just to get it flat. So we've talked about maybe putting a chain in here so it'll allow it to float a little bit, but we'll have to see if it makes that much difference. So I'm going to go ahead and get these tines down just a little bit, so they're getting just a little bit dirt. And see how that does. This is just kind of guessing, since having not used this before, see how this does. Okay, so we're just going to go up and down our path here and see how this does. So we got some of this cleaned up. Kind of got rid of some of the high spots here. And just kind of smoothed all this out. I know I kind of had grass growing, but I wanted to get it smoothed out, and now we can get grass growing again. Eventually we're going to build onto the back of this and come down with some footers, just concrete, so we can put posts in. Probably take a little bit of this off, come down, and then just have it as a spot we can store wood. It'll probably be just stuff we can do by hand. It often is wet back here, so getting the big tractor with the forks, you're always just gonna kind of have a mess. But stuff that we could take off and then put in by hand, and it'd be good. It'd just be another spot we could store stuff, because right now we're kind of scrambling to find spots. So then actually looking at the path here, so I went up and down several times with the tines down just to kind of help break stuff up. We need to go through and work on roots. Have a lot of those sticking up now. Did before, but really do now. But did a good job breaking stuff up. The thing I guess I didn't really think about was how much like getting the roots and stuff stuck really then kind of balled it all up against the tines, so that whenever you're grading you just kind of had a ball of stuff there, and then it would kind of grade. So I ended up with kind of more stuff collecting in there than I thought, but it's still nowhere close to like the grader box. But it does do a good job getting it all flattened out. Before I did this video, I kind of had mentioned putting that piece of channel on the back to kind of strike it off. The only reason we put it on there is really for weight, and I didn't really see that as too much of an issue doing this. But the strike off thing, at least with what I did here, and maybe it would be different with gravel at the 100 acres, but there's really not that much going over that last one. It kind of collects anything up that's left over. So there's really not a whole lot of a need for that. But finally got this trail kind of straightened up. The idea for this trail is we really need dirt on that downhill side of the saw shack that's up there. So we really need some dirt to put in around the concrete we poured, and then kind of taper it off. So we have a spot back here that we can kind of get dirt from the hillside. But there's enough dirt there that instead of doing it by the auto load or by the tractor bucket load, we want to be able to get the dump trailer back here and load it up and drive it out. This is a straight enough and a shallow enough grade path now that we could get that through here. We could get it through the other one, but it has to be the right time of year, and then that bit over there is pretty steep, and then you just have several trees to contend with that you know, you're right there, whereas here more of a straight shot. Once you get to the other side, it kind of falls down a little bit, but it's not too bad. Should be wide enough now for at least the dump trailer. Getting this pipe in here with this little kink, you'd be able to hook it over here to this side with the truck, and then the dump trailer wheel would go right in there. So we may need to do some filling in this spot, just kind of make sure that we didn't have any issues. But the piece of poly is right there. Again, we don't foresee a lot of water going through it. We just noticed that this is a spot where water goes, so we want to give it a place to go instead of washing this out if you know, if water kind of comes from that hillside down. So anyway, got to play with that new toy for a bit. I think the main thing for it is it will probably go over to the 100 acres and primarily stay over there. It's you know, the real reason I got it was for maintaining that entire road that the power company built. Just with us driving on it and everything, it's going to end up with ruts in it, and while we could have done it with the grater box, this is going to make it a whole lot simpler to be able to just drop it, drive, and get it all smoothed out. It's all, you know, loose stone for the most part, so we don't have to use the tines or anything, and we'll be able to maintain that. And then the other hope is to use it on our dirt paths at the 100 acres and kind of maintain them as well. It does seem to do a really good job.